This, folks, is the new 2026 SHIMANO Nasci FD. It has a light blue color of the frame and a copper color spool, and the easiest way to tell it from the old generation of Nasci is the color of the spool, because the new generation has a copper color and the old generation the color of the spool kind of looks like this here. This is a Sahara, but the old Nasci had a spool that looked exactly like this. So this is the best way to tell which generation of Nasci you are buying. Just look for the copper color spool. Now, those of you who have been following my channel for a while already know that the SHIMANO Nasci and the SHIMANO Sahara is one and the same reel, but for a few different accessories. But if we're talking about the frame, the gears, the bearings, the handle, the rotor, the knob, everything is the same, and even the few accessories that are different, they are still replaceable and interchangeable between the reels because the geometry of the two reels is exactly the same. Now, the first thing we're going to do in this video is look at the few differences between the two reels, and then towards the end of the video we're going to discuss the aesthetics and we're going to do a final recommendation or non-recommendation. The first difference between the two reels is the knob on top of the spool. This here is the knob of the Nasci, and I haven't greased it myself. That's how it came out of the box. But you can see how it comes with a rubber, this is soft rubber seal under the cap. And when you put this rubber soft seal with the grease on top of the spool, it prevents water, and if you're fishing in salt water, it prevents salt water getting into the felt here. This spool doesn't have bearings in it, but if salt gets into the felt, the fabric of the felt with time will tear up pretty quickly. And also, if water gets under the cap, it will seep down the main shaft and into the reel. And if you compare this with the cap of the Sahara, you will see that the cap of the Sahara reel doesn't have the rubber seal on top. I don't know how much this rubber seal costs. It should be on the Sahara too, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to mention something here that is not a difference, but I think it's worth mentioning, because both reels come with felt inside. And you know how much I love felt and how much I despise carbon, but I have to say one justifiable application of carbon would be to put it in the Nasci, because the Nasci, being a saltwater reel, actually you can make the argument that the carbon can be useful here, because imagine you catch a 3-pound jack crevalle with this reel. A 3-pound jack crevalle will smoke your drag, and if you had carbon here, you can grease it just once and forget it, and it will be good for the life of the reel. While this thin felt here, yes, I still prefer felt even for salt water. If it were me, I would have it with felt. When it goes bad, I would replace it. But I'm just saying that the felt, if salt touches it and you keep smoking it with powerful fish, the fabric of the felt will eventually tear. So yeah, this is one case where application of carbon actually has some arguments in favor of it. The second difference between the two reels is this rubber seal on the handle of the Nasci. Do you see this black rubber seal here? Now look at the same location on the Sahara handle. There is no rubber seal here. This rubber seal goes in the gear here and seals the hole, and water or salt water cannot get inside the body of the reel. And if you fish saltwater, I have to say, this seal will make a difference in the life expectancy of the reel. Another thing that I'm gonna mention, even though it's not a difference in this generation, but it was a difference in the previous generation, is the seal on the cap that goes on the other side of the handle. But when you look at the two caps, you can see that both of them have rubber seals now. How gracious of Shimano to add the little O-ring on the Sahara. Bravo, Shimano. Now, difference number 3 between the two reels is arguably the most important difference, especially if you fish saltwater. Now, look how the nut that holds the rotor is completely bare. There is no cover, no cap, no mechanism whatsoever to prevent water, and especially salt water, from seeping down the main shaft and into the anti-reverse bearing here, then the pinion gear, then the main gear, then the main gear bearings, and the whole reel is screwed. Zero protection whatsoever in the Sahara. Now in the Nasci, we have what is called core protect here. First of all, you can see there is a black cap here that kind of protects the nut, but it also holds a bunch of other parts. The core protect is basically two hydrophobic surfaces that are really close together, and because they are hydrophobic, they repel water and prevent water from seeping down the main shaft here and going into, again, the anti-reverse bearing, pinion gear, and all the other stuff. And also under the core protect, there is another rubber O-ring here, right under the rotor. So altogether, the core protect does do a good job at preserving the guts of the reel. If you fish saltwater, the core protect alone is worth going with Nasci over Sahara. And because everybody asks for these things, yes, you can swap the spools. Here is the Nasci spool on the Sahara, fits and sounds just fine. And here is the Sahara spool on the Nasci. Fits and sounds just fine. I don't recommend that practice because the colors are always so different that it always looks obnoxious to me. But yeah, for those who insist on swapping spools and fishing with ugly reels, yeah, you can swap them. Difference number 4 between the two reels is this reverse switch here on the Sahara that does not exist on the Nasci for obvious reasons. Water, and again specifically salt water, can get inside of here, and once salt water gets inside your reel is pretty much dead. But what's very interesting here is that the previous generation of Sahara reels did not have the reverse switch. Both of them looked like this. But somebody bitched loud enough, so Shimano decided to reintroduce the reverse switch. Now, I don't want to go on too long of a tangent here, but in my opinion, there is zero reason for this reverse switch to exist. I know there are a few very old and very backward people who have never owned a reel with properly tuned drag that insist that you have to back reel in certain situations, but this is just absurd. This Sahara reel comes with the smoothest, most beautiful drag that you can buy on the market today. The Sahara reel comes with a smoother drag out of the box than the Vanfort. Even if you fish with 1 pound polyester line, this drag is still smooth enough to take care of whatever happens during fishing without having to back reel. So back reeling is not important in the first place, and then we just get the risk of water coming through here. But I can tell you that there is another risk connected with this reverse switch, and those of you who are older and have done maintenance of these reels will tell you that this reverse switch is notorious for breaking down and just mechanically being a weak point. The last thing that I want when I open the reel for maintenance is worry about this thing, not to drop one of these parts or not to install it the wrong way. Why do I need this liability on a freshwater reel to worry about every time I open the reel or every time I drop the reel? Alright, difference number 5. The Sahara has 4 bearings plus the anti-reverse bearing. The Nasci has 5 bearings plus the anti-reverse bearing. And people get so impressed by extra bearings. I have to say, by the way, before I forget, that in the previous generation, the Nasci and the Sahara had the same number of bearings. Both of them had 4 plus 1. But in this generation, Shimano decided to put some more separation between the two reels, and they added one more bearing, drum bit, in the knob. So in the Sahara, out of the box, you have plastic bushing here and plastic bushing here. Here in the Nasci, I'm not going to open this because you've seen knobs too many times, but in the Nasci, you still have plastic bushing here, but they put a bearing over here. I personally don't get impressed by adding bearings in the knob, but I know some of you do, so yeah, that's it. One extra bearing here in the knob. How impressive that is, I'm gonna leave that to you. And this here, folks, is the 6th and final difference between the two reels. It's the bail arm. Now, the bail arm in the Sahara, as you can see, is just a piece of solid wire that is shoved into a hole. That's it. It just looks pretty ugly. Now, I've heard the Russian specialists say that this is not only ugly, but the line somehow gets stuck here. I don't even understand. How does it get stuck here? Does it get stuck here or on the other side? I, for 30 years of fishing, have never experienced a line getting stuck here. To me, it's just aesthetics, but oh my gosh, are the aesthetics better. Let me show you now the bail arm of the Nasci. Look how smooth and elegant this thing is. Again, Nasci, wire shoved into the line roller. Sahara. Nasci. Look how beautiful and elegant and curvy. It is so beautiful. Sahara. I have to quickly say again before I forget, in the previous generation of Sahara and Nasci reels, this difference did not exist. Both of them had the solid wire shoved into the hole. But now Shimano decided to create some more separation between the two models and not only added the knob bearing here that didn't exist in the previous generation, but added this beautiful bail here. Okay, so we discussed the mechanical differences between the two reels. Now, let's quickly discuss the aesthetics differences, because when I put a picture of the new Nasci on my community page, people got very emotional about the appearance, and I have to make a few comments about this. The Sahara has a beautiful matte black finish. It's matte, but at the same time a little bit like a black pearl. It has an absolutely beautiful, very sophisticated finish on the frame, and it has a black handle. The only non-black color on the reel is this gold spool, but it's not really gold. You can see this is the color of the spool. It's very subtle and kind of fading. It's not bright and shiny and chromy. And altogether, the appearance of this Sahara, in my opinion, is absolutely top notch. You can put this Sahara on any rod in the world, including JDM rods. Now, the Nasci, you will immediately notice, is a lot more colorful and shiny. First of all, the spool has copper color that I actually like the copper color of the spool. The copper color actually doesn't bother me, but unlike the Sahara, the frame here is blue. And then the color of the handle is not black like on the Sahara, but the handle here is chrome. And that, my friends, I will say immediately, will not fit on any JDM area trout rod. However, was this reel really designed to be put on a JDM trout ultralight fishing rods? No. Look at all the seals. The seal in the cap, on the main shaft, on the handle, on the cap on the other side. This reel is sealed all around because it was meant to be fished in saltwater. And now, if we are talking about saltwater ultralight rods that you can purchase in United States, now the picture is totally different. Go to iCast in July and look for blue color rods. I mean, one of every 4 or 5 rods is blue color. Shimano has blue color rods. The Terramar, I own some Shimano Terramar inshore rods that are exactly the same color. Daiwa has blue color saltwater rods. I know Fenwick has. I have one Fenwick HMX. It's exactly the same color as the reel. Quantum has blue color rods. I mean, go to iCast and just look around for blue color rods. You guys that are telling me that this color reel will not color match on any rod, you guys are just wrong. You just have never been to iCast. Blue is a very popular color for saltwater fishing. But okay, enough about the aesthetics. Let's make a final summary of the two reels. My final word about the new Nasci, folks, is that Shimano in this generation indeed introduced enough separation between the models to justify the existence of this model. Again, in the previous generation, the only difference between the two reels was that the Sahara had 0 seals and the Nasci was sealed all around. And this is preserved, but now on top of the extra sealing, you get one extra bearing here in the knob. You lose this stupid liability, the reverse switch here in the Sahara, so you don't have to worry about dropping this every time you open the reel for maintenance. And finally, you get this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful bail arm. And now that we already discussed the aesthetics and I told you that it will not be a problem to find a matching rod for this reel, I can tell you that for saltwater ultralight fishing, this reel receives a strong recommendation from iFish. I don't have a saltwater reel buying guide, but I can tell you that under $200, this is my strongest recommendation. Yes, the Fuego from Daiwa is very well sealed too, and it's very smooth. By the way, I forgot to say how quiet and perfectly smooth my reel is, and it doesn't even have extra resistance compared to my Sahara, even with the extra seals. I have to tell you, this is impressively smooth and quiet reel with zero extra resistance. Usually these extra seals are touching a little bit and creating extra resistance, but I don't know how they did it, but this reel, I can even twitch with it. It's just no resistance. The Daiwa Fuego, which is the direct competitor in this price range, has a much flimsier frame and also much inferior teeth. This reel, just like the Sahara, is coming with the new bigger teeth that Shimano calls infinity gear or whatever. But these gears in the Nasci are cold forged, pressed in aluminum, and it's much more durable than the cast zinc that you're gonna find in the Daiwa Fuego. So this is just a stronger and more durable reel than the Fuego, and this is gonna be my final word for this video. Yeah, for freshwater the colors are a bit much. Even with the beautiful bail arm, I would still skip the Nasci for freshwater just because of the strong colors. But hey, if you can find a freshwater rod that's ultralight and it matches the colors, then by all means you can use it for freshwater too. It does have enough goodies on top of the Sahara to justify the extra dollars if you can tolerate the colorful appearance. But if we're talking about saltwater, this is just easily my top choice. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.